Today we will be comparing decimals. Please copy the standard benchmark indicator down on a clean page in your math notebook. The student will compare two decimals through the thousands using pictures, greater than, less than, or equal to. Comparing and ordering decimals. List the numbers in order from the least to the greatest. Step 1. Write the numbers lining up places. Begin at the left to find the greatest or least number. In our numbers here, on our list, we have one number that has a 5 as a whole number, and the rest have 6s. So we know 5 and 229 thousandths is our least. Step 2, write the remaining numbers lining up places. Find the greatest and least. Order the other numbers. So again, we've lined up our 4 remaining numbers, and we've looked and we can see that the bottom one has a 7 in the tenths place, and that's the smallest in the tenths. So 6 and 779 thousandths is our least out of this list in step 2. Then if we look back at the list in the tenths place, we know 6 and 943 thousandths has a 9 in the tenths place, making it greater than all of the others. So that's our greatest. Then we only have 2 left to compare, and they both have an 8 in the tenths place. So we go to the next place to the right, and we can see that one has a 2 there, and the other has a 5. So 6 and 825 thousandths is smaller than 6 and 852 thousandths. So finally, for step 3, we're going to write the numbers in order from least to greatest. So we have 5 and 229 thousandths, 6 and 779 thousandths, 6 and 825 thousandths, 6 and 852 thousandths, and finally our greatest number is 6 and 943 thousandths. For the try it here, we're going to complete each problem and we're going to write greater than, less than, or equal to for each circle. So in problem number 1, we have 7 and 539 thousandths compared to 7 and 344 thousandths. First thing we need to do is, starting at the left, work to the right and find the first position where there's a different number. So they both have 7s in the 1 spot, so we're going to go behind the decimal to the tenths. One has a 5 and one has a 3. So we know 7 and 539 thousandths is greater than 7 and 344 thousandths. In problem 2, again, we're going to start with the leftmost position and work right. We can see they both have 9s in the 1 spot, 2s in the 10th spot, 0s in the 100th spot, and the first spot that's different is the thousandths. So we know 9 and 202 thousandths is less than 9 and 209 thousandths. For 3, we have 75 hundredths and 750 thousandths. Now we know that that 0 on the end of 750 thousandths is not holding any value, so we're just going to cross it off. Now when we look at the two numbers, we can tell they're equal. For numbers 4 and 5, it wants us to order the numbers from least to greatest. So again, we're going to start on the left-hand side of each number and work to the right. They all have a 3 in the 1 spot, so we're going to move to the tenths. If we look at the tenths, we have an 8, an 8, and a 7. So right away, we know the last number in the line there is our least number, so we're going to write that down first. There are a lot of ways to separate your numbers doing this. Commas are best to be avoided, because if you get bigger numbers, you can have commas in the numbers, and then it gets confusing. So I like to use a straight slash. Some number lists you'll see will use a semicolon, which looks like a little dot with a comma underneath it. Either one is fine, as long as you can tell the numbers apart from each other. So now we're going to go look at our first two numbers. We know they both have 8 in the tenths place, but then they have different numbers in the hundredths place. So we know our next number is going to be 3 and 827 thousandths. That leaves 3 and 898 thousandths to be our greatest number. For number 5, again, we're going to start by looking at the whole number, and they all have 5s there. So we're going to move to the tens place. So we have a 2, a 1, a 0, and a 2. So we know right away the one with the 0 in the tens place is our lowest number. So 5 and 2 thousandths is going to be written first. As you get into longer lists of numbers, it's a good idea to cross the number off as you get it in the list so you know you've used it. So we know our next number is going to be 5 and 199 thousandths because it's the only one with a 1 in the tens place, and that's lower than the 2's. Next, we have 5 and 234 thousandths and 5 and 243 thousandths. So we know they both have 2's in the tens place, so we're going to look at the hundredths. And we know our first number, the 3, is smaller than the 4 in the last number, so 5 and 234 thousandths is going to go next. Finally, we know 5 and 243 thousandths is going to be our greatest number. For 6 and 7, we're going to use the chart to the right, car racing winners. And we have to answer the question, which had the faster speed? So we're going to start with question 6, driver A or driver D. So if we look at the two numbers, driver A had 145 and 155 thousandths miles per hour, where driver D had 144 and 809 thousandths miles per hour. Anytime you're comparing two numbers, we're going to start at the left and work our way to the right. So they both have a 1 in the hundred spot, they both have a 4 in the 10 spot, but they have different numbers in the 1 spot. So we know because of that, driver A is faster. For number 7, it wants us to compare driver A with driver C. So again, we're going to start in the left of the number, in the 100 spot. They both have 1's. They both have 4's in the 10 spot. And then the 1's is where they're different. And there we can see driver C has a 7 there, where driver A has a 5. So we know driver C was faster. Okay, moving on to the next worksheet with this activity. Decimals on a number line. You can use place value to help you place numbers on a number line. If the decimals are on the number line or in the tenths place, count from left to right by adding 1 to the digit in the tenths place. So if you look there, you can see where the gaps are, and it goes 7, 7 and 1/10, 7 and 2/10, 7 and 3/10, and so on. If the decimals on the number line are in the hundredths place, you're going to count from left to right by adding 1 digit to the hundredths place. The trickiest part with number lines is just figuring out the interval. How much are they jumping when they go from each of the marks on the number line? In the first number line, they're going by tenths. The second one, they're going by hundredths. So we're going to complete each number line. So if you look at the first one, we've got 0, 2 boxes, 3/10, 2 boxes, 6/10, 2 boxes, 9/10. So if we look, we can tell we're counting by tenths. So we're going to fill in each of the missing tenths. For number line number 2, it starts at 5 and 5/10. With 4 boxes, it goes to 6. 4 more boxes goes to 6 and 5/10. So again, we can tell they're counting by tenths. So we're going to fill it in starting with 5 and 6/10. For number line number 3, we have 3 and 20 hundredths, 3 and 21 hundredths, 3 empty boxes, 3 and 25 hundredths, 4 empty boxes, and 3 and 30 hundredths. So we can tell based on this that the number line is counting by hundredths. So we're going to fill in the missing numbers starting with 3 and 22 hundredths. For number line number 4, it starts at 9 and 99 hundredths. Then we have 4 boxes, 10 and 4 hundredths, 4 boxes, 10 and 9 hundredths. So we know this one, again, is counting by hundredths. However, when we add 1 hundredth to 999 hundredths, we get an even 10. So that's going to be the first number you put in, and then 10 and 1 hundredth, 10 and 2 hundredths, and so on. Please glue both completed pages in your math notebook.